Hey everybody, XEI here for another episode where we take a look at a randomish post that I created under the community tab on the channel's page. I don't even know how to talk about this stuff because YouTube does not make this easy. I talked about that in the previous episode where we talked about the people's favorite length of Let's Play videos. But in this one, I was like, I need to organize some future games. So I did start this off with no context poll. Answer based on whatever context that means something to you. Feel free to comment your reasons. Go. So I literally threw that out there, not thinking that it was going to have heavy engagement for a long time. I think we got to 100 votes almost in 24 hours, if not within 24 hours. You guys just killed this thing. It was a lot of fun, and so I thought at that point maybe I should just do an episode where I respond to some of the context that the community provided to me. And the reason why I do that is, like, I don't want to say here's a poll of to use the terminology of this channel, of a secondary Let's Play that I would like to bring to the channel. Answer which one would you like to see me play. Like, I don't want you to answer based on what you'd like to see me play as the only criteria for how you answer. I want it to be, if you guys loved a game, if you loved Jade Empire more than Star Wars Knight of the Old Republic, then answer Jade Empire, because you know, maybe your love will be rekindled. If like everyone loves Jade Empire and no one's playing it out there's not enough Let's Plays or whatever. I don't know that. I don't go searching for these things, although that's probably something I should do. But I don't really care what's out there. I care about what you want to see from this channel. To expand on that, what kind of like banter you want in the comment area that will naturally generate because of the fandom tied to these IPs. So that's why the context is whatever you decide. If you want to explain what that context is, you can comment and let me know and let others know. Now the better way to do this is, of course, you answer first and then you look at the comments so that the comments aren't sort of swaying you, you know. So yeah, let's take a look at some of these comments. So Gabe here with KOTOR, no question. Mr. Dong with Jade Empire. We got Rachel C, Vampire purely because I'm in a Chronicles of Darkness game at the moment that I'm absolutely obsessed with, and so I loved Vampire the Masquerade in the early 90s. I played in the game, it was probably 94, 96. It was a long time ago, okay? So I would probably try to remake that character just because I don't really remember. Am I going to try to remember his name? Was it Christopher Kiss, I think, was the name. He was an emo goth lead singer of a band that played in small clubs, and I think it was Los Angeles. Was it Los Angeles or Las Vegas? Doesn't matter. None of this matters. But yeah, why not? I'm gonna play that out. I think maybe I'll pick something else. I don't know. But yeah, so Chronicles of Darkness. Yeah, I know that they've changed some stuff up through the years. The early 90s, mid 90s, even maybe late 90s, they had source books on every clan, and I loved reading about the clans. I've always loved, because again, world building. I love all of that stuff, and it was influential on me for sure. I know that the IP is now in the hands of some company. I forget what it's called, but I know they got it back, and they have intentions of releasing more content tied to this IP. They bought out the entire library. I think I read that correctly a while ago, year and a half ago. So the history there is that it releases, it doesn't get the money to finish, and then they get basically like 2/3 of the way through the game. They got to rush it, they got to roll it out, and it's this atrocious game. Bugs everywhere, it doesn't really finish properly, and then the fans take this and they open up, I don't know who opened up the modding, or if the fan community itself just like managed to open up the modding, and then the fans just finished it up. They cleaned it all up, they cleaned up the bugs, they added missing content, geez. And so I'm impressed. That's an impressive for me. That sold the game for me. But if you got the GOG version, you would buy it already with all that stuff installed, and so you knew it was working out of the box. I'm like, perfect, I don't have to do anything, just give me that game. So yeah, I got it, and I did load it up just to test the character generation, just to see if it would trigger some memories of back in the tabletop days, and it was more or less like it brought some stuff back, but I'm noob again. Like, I had no idea what this stuff meant or whatever it was. I don't know. So we'll take a look at it, but I think it'll be fun. I didn't load past the character. I didn't even finish the character generation. It got kind of like, it was like a lot of stuff you had to read through and like pick things. I'm just like, that's good enough. We're good. I'll play this game later. So yeah, I'm happy to see that other people are excited about the Vampire the Masquerade stuff. So we have Undead Poet here. Would love either Star Wars or Vampire, but I chose Vampire because I was the storyteller for a tabletop game that lasted many years and then evolved into an internet board post game. It was awesome, and I feel a bit nostalgic. Pick one and have fun. Yeah, nostalgia is usually what drives me to picking the games that I would like to bring to this channel, but sometimes I don't know if people will like it, and so I want to start making decisions based on what the majority of the community is interested in. That's not to say I'll only play like let's roll back up here, that I'll only do the Old Republic and then not do the other ones. No, they'll always be somewhere. Like either like I just feel like in the mood to play Planescape, I'll play Planescape even though it's 8%. But I know that, you know, this is going to be a big-ish game, and so for me to put the time into Planescape, whereas, you know, that same amount of time would go into clearing Jade Empire or any other one on top of Star Wars, you know, it makes it a little more difficult for me to say I'm going to commit those 40 to 6 hours. I don't know, I don't forget how long this is, but I think all of these games are about 40-hour games. I don't even know. I think that's it's in my head. 40 seems to be this magical number of a lot of games that I want to play next are in that 40-hour mark, and so we're in a very good place where yeah, I think these are all very doable. But back to it, it's a very old game. Planescape is a very old game. This is like important to me. One whole cube of this shelf is filled with every single Planescape product ever released, and it's only one cube because I had to put source books inside box sets so that it would all fit. So big fan. I ran I think it was about a 5-year, yeah, it was a 5-year game. We were playing almost weekly, and when we said, because we were younger, so I was like, when we played, we would go from like 4 p.m. to 4 in the morning. Like, these were sessions back in those days, and it was a lot of fun. I love Planescape. I mean, the art alone inspired me to want to be an illustrator at one point, and then getting into game design and world building and stuff. It was Planescape is a big, huge, one of the biggest inspirations in my life. That one and Ravenloft, the Ravenloft setting, the Gothic horror one. So yeah, that's why I would want, because if I play this game, it might be fun to sort of play it and then talk about the lore that I might remember. It's been 20 years, right? But it'd be fun even for me to like play the game and then pull out source books, and then I could do this game while kind of doing interludes, right? We'll do an interlude, and then I'll talk about where the idea came from the source books, because there's a great portion of you that have no idea where this stuff came from, and so that might be a fun kind of differentiator for this game, make it different for the channel and have fun. And that's why I didn't give you context, because now that I give you that context, you might see where it might be intriguing. It might be more intriguing and as kind of content for this channel. So there you go. Let's move on. So we have a little fire starter. Vampire Bloodlines is the best bad game in the world. Absolutely iconic. Yeah, that's exactly what people have been saying, which is what made me look into it. And I hope I think I'll be impressed. We have Frederick Stein Ackerblad. We have Vampire because I can't wait for the new one. Only been waiting forever to play it again. I read his comment. I didn't read his comment because I didn't give you a heart. Everyone gets a heart. You interact, you get a heart on these polls. It again was part of an extremely early alpha of Bloodlines 2, and it's excruciating to wait. Bloodlines 2, when was that? Wait, what's coming out? Is Bloodlines 2 the name of the game that's coming out? I think they're just restarting it, right? Because it's that company that picked it up, and now they're going to just go, they're going to go to town. I think there's like a werewolf game coming out or something. Yes, that's exciting. I would play that werewolf game for sure. If KOTOR, yes, we got some fans here. It's funny because the first one, like the first couple posts here, like people who are engaging are, yeah, Vampire fans. It's fun to see. And then we have Shay. Hey, Shay. That's XEI. Pronounced is Shay. Oh boy, KOTOR. This is the kind of game you will never forget. Good old BioWare, best Star Wars game of them all, and one of the best RPGs ever. I've read that in other posts as well, which will be interesting to see because it's an older game now, and so the graphics are almost definitely not gonna hold together. Are there mods for this? I haven't looked into this. Is there anything you can add to the game that will like jazz it up, will kind of bump it up a few years? Like, because Mass Effect 1 had it. a little tricky to kind of install it, but I figured it out, and now I've lost again because of the new system. But I did a test on it, man. Whew, you can make that game look pretty decent. It's 2007 Mass Effect 1. So does that exist for something like KOTOR? I don't know. Let me know. We have Enkefenra, and I probably mangle that too. As I choose Planescape because I haven't played any of these, but that's the one I'm most interested in, followed by Jade Empire. I know a vampire, but I'm not too interested in that one, and please don't kill me. This is what made me, this comment is the one that made me want to do this series. Please don't kill me. I don't really care about Star Wars. I've heard good stuff about KOTOR, of course, but I'm just not interested in the setting. Secret. Neither am I. So everyone don't kill me. I've never cared. I grew up to Star Wars. I sort of enjoyed them as a kid. I mean, I enjoyed the cartoon of it in the 80s. I had some toys, but not many of them. Never got into them. I was big on He-Man more than anything else. I never really, I got the space thing, I got the fantasy thing, but it just never got to me like a lot of kids that grew up in the same generation as me. The hardcore fandom, like as I got older, I was like, I can kind of get why you'd love it because of the potential of the setting. I know in the 90s there was even a Dungeons and Dragons owned the IP, and they did the role-playing game for Star Wars. And the more interested I got in just world building and the idea of like building settings from the ground floor up, I kind of got the idea of why Star Wars could be super fascinating. It's super rich from a world building perspective, especially from the expanded universe perspective. But then I think a couple years ago they're like, oh, none of that exists, and now I think I heard in the last week they're like, isn't Mandalorian, like, it is respecting some of that expanded universe stuff. So I think they're like walking that back, which they should. But in any case, I can see the value of it. And to be honest, one of the books I studied in university, it was a fantasy course, and it was a fantasy sci-fi, I think, and it was huge into deconstructionism, which is why I break everything down, why you see me talk the way I do when I play Dragon Age and I do story breakdowns and stuff. It didn't start in that fantasy course, but that fantasy course is what really made me put the language together that I use when I break things down. So like, you know, in my head, and then when I try to kind of understand what the patterns are and stuff, it sort of started in that course, and not because they taught me, but just like I started seeing the patterns and then talking about them. I got an A+ in the course with the S's and stuff that I was breaking down. One of the books, the essay I wrote, was on the Star Wars novel, and that's where I was like, okay, this is a fan. Like everything sort of fell into place from just like the potential of it all. And there's so many interesting things in the novelization of A New Hope that yeah, it was well done. It was a well-written novelization, so I mean, I recommend it for those of you out there. I don't remember who wrote the one I got. I don't know if they've done multiple versions of this thing. I'll talk about one real quick that's in that novel that I thought was super interesting just to kind of think about. It was that they wrote out the names C-3PO and R2-D2. They were written out. They weren't the letters and numbers, and so it kind of personified them more. It made them more like relatable as living beings because their names were names. And there's this idea of the power of names in fantasy and stuff too. And so I love that I saw that. And then of course when you get to a character introduction for Obi-Wan, you're kind of like, oh, that's interesting, because now not that Obi-Wan is he a droid or is he a human, because Obi-Wan, right? But when it's spelled out, it's a name. But then when you juxtaposition that with C-3PO and R2-D2, you start forgetting that they're droids. And that's kind of what the interesting dynamic was in just that simple choice of how you spelled out their names. I thought that was brilliant. So it shows you like I kind of pay attention to these little things. That's where it goes back that far, 20 years. So whatever the question is, my answer is Planescape Torment. Well, maybe it would change to Jade Empire for a few of them. By the way, this no context poll is a really fun idea. I hope you do more of these, and I did. I did one the next day, and I kind of wanted to have this episode because I wanted to talk about these two things: the Please Don't Kill Me, and talk a little bit about the Star Wars. Like, it took me a while to sort of, and I still don't really see, like, I'm not a hardcore fan of it, but maybe this game will get me into it. I don't know. The movies aren't doing it. Sorry. I'm sorry. Don't kill me. Then we have Shane Granger, the awesome fan of the community, by the way, that mailed me a PS4 and all these PS4 games. Thanks, Shane Granger. I love me some space RPG goodness. Hopefully I do as well. Fake Gamer Girl voted for Jade Empire because I've never played it. Well, I haven't played any of these, but Jade Empire alone is sitting in my library gathering dust, and it'd be cool to play along with a Let's Player. Okay, this is where I started seeing like people like saying that. I'm like, I've never even considered that, but like that does sound like it could be fun, because it almost feels more community based. And like I always had this idea, like this channel for me in the early days when there was like, you know, less than 10 subscribers even. I was like, I always had it in my head. It's like I want it to feel like I'm in a room gaming with friends that are you're just bantering with each other while playing the game. I don't want it to just be like entertainment, like a Jacksepticeye or Markiplier, like we talked about earlier on, which is like they inspired me to kick off the channel because of their milestone videos and because of them as people, and I believe they're authentic. They authentically care about their community, you know. And then we have Jacob Reynolds, Jade Empire, one of my favorite games of all time. Wow, it's an older game too, and yeah, I wonder how much of that is because again, I don't know how many LPs are out there of this, but I wonder how much is just like people have played these so long ago. I have been clueless to this, but how many people are just like from a nostalgia perspective is like, yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing someone play these games because I remember having very fond memories of them. So yeah, Try Again 66. I heard only good things from all these games, but I actually played KOTOR 1 and 2 more times than I like to admit. So KOTOR it is. I bought both, by the way. So I heard Sith is not as good as the first one, I think is how I remember that going. But I got them both because I'm a thoroughist. If I'm gonna buy the first one, I'm gonna play the second one. Okay, King Spire. KOTOR is one of the best RPGs ever made. We have Fu Rooksman, KOTOR, because it is a game I'm familiar with. Actually, the first game where I really got into the story. There you go. I've heard a lot of good things about the story of this game. Yeah. So I'm a fan of that now. If you're interacting here, it's because you're gauging my playstyle, my interests. So Matthew P. Poll might as well be, which game have you heard of for me? I've got hundreds of hours on KOTOR you're scaring me. Hundreds of hours on KOTOR, while the others I've only heard in passing. Wish I had a more interesting context to offer, but alas, this is all I know. That is the context I want to hear. I want to hear what games are meaningful to you from your perspective, and just have that kind of organically inform the direction of where we go. And it's not always that I'm just going to go on that game, right? Other things will come back up. They'll resurface. We have Visionary Prism. I say KOTOR is one of the best RPGs ever created, to be honest. We have Tony Soprano. Tony Soprano! Wait. I know what happened at the end of no. I won't go. Is that a picture of Tony Soprano? Okay, on a throne of blades? For real? I don't even know. The other great thing about these polls is bringing out a lot of lurkers that I know I've not seen your names in the comments before. So welcome to the comment section. I'm glad that you guys took the time out to engage in here. It's a pretty lovely bunch of people in this community. Like I said, there's only been 5 trolls. I've tried to play with them a little bit just to make sure they also matter. And all of them have gone away. Keep it that way, hopefully. Crossing fingers. I won't go into the story beyond this, but I think it's BioWare's best paced story, as the majority of the game does focus on your main quest. I like that, by the way. I need some more of that, by the way. No more, like, meandering is fun, but I need to chill on that because I meander a lot. When the game gives me a chance to meander, I meander. Let's tone that down. This is the crown jewel of the game. And if you have played KOTOR or Mass Effect, then you'll know to just accept the fact that the story is incredible. Going more into the details of the story would only serve to detract from the playthrough. But whereas KOTOR and Mass Effect are more open-ended, Jade Empire fully resolves itself in the end to be its own complete experience. I've heard that about Jade Empire. So it's just the playthrough is more linear, more, not so much that it's railroads, but that the narrative is more intentional. It's more intentional. It's more, the designers intended for it to flow a certain way. And I wouldn't mind a couple of those experiences. So yeah, all of these are great. We have Meth Damon. I've actually been surprised by how many people I've met who don't really play video games, but played and loved KOTOR at one point. It's just a straight up classic game, I think. KOTOR 2, on the other hand, fits the bill pretty much completely. The story was a major departure from the original. It didn't include any old characters minus droids, was released incomplete, and was panned by critics. Yet, despite the flaws, it's got a pretty fervent and dedicated fan base. Well, that's good to know. I don't care if the game is like so-so, but as long as people are excited about it, they're enthusiastic, and we're all having fun in the comments, and it's not like a draw. It's not what? Drag? Did I mean to say drag there? Doesn't matter. You guys get the point. Like how pretty much every KOTOR tattoo or cosplay or anything you see is usually from 2, and the game is pretty great despite its flaws and differences from the original. I'm willing to see that play out, and I'm sure you guys will give me some of the nitty gritty, some behind the scenes stuff along the way, which I am very grateful for. That way I don't have to get stuck in rabbit holes that could open up the spoilers, which is why I don't do that at all. I mean, when the game is done, then I don't care. But this is like an IP I probably wouldn't just dig into. Mass Effect and Dragon Age I have been hungry. I haven't even touched Mass Effect yet. I got so exhausted through the Dragon Age stuff in just the 2 days where I was like, I need to pace this out. I need to pace myself out. Like now, we're gonna start now. We're gonna take August off. I'm gonna come at this slowly. But yeah, Star Wars is one of those that I know they're deep rabbit holes, but they're too long. Like it's decades worth of stuff. And it's not something I'm willing to kind of get lost in. And then we have Media Lettered. You know what I chose, and I do Media Letterhead because one of the reasons why I created this post was because of your comment. I'm like, you know, it'd be fun. I'm gonna bring it, and it's Vampire, by the way. So we have a lot of people talking for Vampire, but a lot of people just without context responding with Star Wars. So I mean, it's now that I've given you context about how I would approach a Planescape Torment game, it'd be more of a Let's Play series mixed with just random knowledge from the setting back from 91 to 96, you know, that sort of thing. That'd be fun. This is a straight up, like, I just installed this. I installed this last night because of this poll, by the way. So I need to see, are the settings good? I'm probably going to get the settings figured out. I don't know when I'll start this game, but I know it's probably going to get started pretty soon. And then we have Jade Empire. Everyone who talks about Jade Empire loves Jade Empire. So are there mods to make Star Wars look more modern? Are there mods that will make Jade Empire look more modern? Or are both these games probably predate the entire whole modding thing, I would presume? But fans being fans, I don't know, maybe something's out there and you can let me know, and then I'll probably mod both of these if I can. If I can't, we'll play them raw. It's fine. So there you go. So that's another episode. That's a wrap. Wow, this one went long. I'll try to cut around some of this, but yeah, the next episode up is the one that talks about a couple more games. Again, no context, and we'll get into that one next time. Maybe I'll do that one back to back. I mean, these are going long, way longer than I intended, but I hope these are interesting and fun, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Don't forget to explore, engage, and inspire, buddy. Peace.